connection. Hold up. How are we? It says I'm on the Wi-Fi. We're live, by the way. Just a heads up, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Half Noon News.
All right.
I feel like we're on Burgundy every time we start.
Shoot, I don't have the mic plugged in. I don't know if this will even work afterwards. We'll see.
Have you ever seen one?
Yes, I have. I thought you were going to say, have you ever seen one of those? I'm like, no.
Hello, everybody.
Fancy
Let's see.
equipment.
We're just trying to run a decent show here, you know?
Yeah. That $30 microphone.
Oh, so
Yeah.
fancy.
Very
You can
expensive.
get one that like connects to a hand mic and
Oh, that would be way too formal.
yeah, definitely.
Although it might be kind of fun.
But if anybody wants to donate one,
There you go.
I'll send you the Amazon link. Okay, I want to make sure we're going live. Wow, look, there we go. We're looking good.
Yeah, we do.
Let me
Hey,
check.
everybody. Hope you're excited about today's the first
I
day
was doing
of
this
the
last time too.
Ortloff Top Fin meet.
Okay,
We have 149 kids in this meet.
that's awesome.
Yeah, we've
Wow.
never had that many kids. This is like an upper level meet. So we've never, and they're also like the longer, harder races. So we've got a lot of kids stepping up. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It is. I'm excited. So this is Dana. She's a nutritionist, and she came to talk to your kids a week ago Monday.
My hair looks so bad. I can see it.
You have to get over your hair.
I know, I'm
You
sorry.
just gotta get
When I
past it.
turn my head, I'm like, oh my, that's so bad. That's what I look like. Okay, anyways, I'm right here.
I work with this every day, guys. Every day.
Guys, I grew up
Too
with,
distracted.
and like my mom is in town right now. I grew up with, if I left the house and like anything was out of place, I was like being told. Like before I left the
I can
house to
totally
come
hear
here,
your mom.
my mom was like, "You're gonna go with your hair like that," and I'm like, I can't. This is where I'm at.
So
So
the 30-year-old man.
Come as you are.
I'm 28.
Pretty
But-
close. Pardon me.
So, anyways.
Okay, back to the important things. Top Fin this weekend. Warm-ups for tonight are at 5 o'clock. So please have your kiddos at the pool by 4:30, 4:45 so we can do warm-up to swim and get events on their arms. Tomorrow there's 2 sessions. It's not a prelims final session. It's morning and afternoon. Oh my gosh.
Well,
Seriously, Mike just went over to the sink to get to fix his hair.
I have no shame.
Okay, Saturday morning. So again, it's not prelims finals. Everyone is in Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. Morning warm-ups are at 8, afternoon warm-ups are at 3. So this meet is split into 2 sessions on Saturday because the events are so hard that we give the kids a little break and time to get some good food, which Dana's going to talk about here in a little bit. Yeah, for after today. The only other thing administrative-wise we wanted to kind of update everybody on was swim-a-thon results. We did not quite hit our goal of 100% participation. We were at like 57% participation, so not the best, but definitely next year we're hoping to be better. We want to say congratulations, Shelby Baronis, top earner, way to go girl. And Senior 2 was the top roster group, so congratulations, and
What does Senior 2 get?
an ice cream party
During practice or after practice?
during practice.
Wow.
Perfect
That's
with our
amazing.
nutrition talk.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Ice cream party.
This is good.
Sorry about that. But so thank you to everybody who donated. I know there were a lot of swimmers who went above and beyond their $125 family obligation. Thank you guys for everyone contributing to that.
They've earned it.
Yes. So, but we just want to say thank you for Dana coming out. Dana came out and talked to the kids last Monday and had a really great talk. We had some good dialogue with the kids, and that kind of opened up some conversations for the rest of the week where the kids were asking about food, asking us questions. And so we wanted parents to get a chance to hear from Dana so you could hear kind of what your kids were saying in case they came home and told you that Dana told them to taste the rainbow and they need a bunch of Skittles. That's not what she said.
Yeah.
We did say taste the rainbow. Yeah.
But so I'll pass it off to Mike. He's got some questions. Thank you to those of you who submitted questions ahead of time.
Okay, so we're gonna start with some general stuff, and then we'll go into some questions that were submitted ahead of time, and then we'll also answer questions along the way. So if the audio is a little weird, I'm sorry. But okay, so let's start with the first thing. Like, what are the most important macronutrients? Like, what's the core things everybody needs for just performance as an athlete and like just to sustain everything?
Okay. So macronutrients, actually all of them are important, I should say. And when I'm talking macronutrients, that's carbohydrates, protein, and fat.
Those are the only macronutrients,
exactly.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
So they're all
Micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals, and macronutrients are those three. So they're all important.
Proteins, and fats.
Okay, yes. Carbohydrates are what we talk about the most, especially when we're talking to endurance athletes, and that's because that's your body's primary source of fuel, and especially the fast form of fuel. So with all of those macronutrients I talk to the kids about, there are healthy choices and less healthy choices. And particularly with carbohydrates, which tend to get a bad rap, there are choices that the kids should be making more often and athletes should be making more often, and that's in whole grains, trying to avoid the more refined carbohydrates like sugar, white bread, white rice, things like that, and aiming for brown rice, whole grain breads.
What about wild rice? Is that brown rice?
Yeah.
Same?
There's a lot of carbohydrates in certain vegetables too, right?
Exactly.
So like, do those carbohydrates give you the energy that you're talking about? It's not just pasta, it's not just that kind of thing.
Exactly. And those are great because obviously they're giving you other nutrients as well.
Yeah, kind of.
And the fiber. And the protein and the fats, I won't go into too much because we're limited on time, but the healthier choices with those as well as with protein, avoiding the really high saturated fats like the ground beef, the sausage, pepperoni, things like that, just limiting them. Right, the more processed foods and aiming more for grilled or baked or roasted chicken, fish, beef, things like that.
Yeah, and as we talk about everything, there's nothing, and we've talked to Dana before in the way she talked to the kids, there's nothing that it's like, hey, if you're feeding your kids this, that's why we're saying healthy and less healthy. Like, it's not bad.
Unless all they eat is Skittles.
Then, I mean, hey, we're not going to judge anybody, but I'm just saying.
They're not going to feel so good, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So we're
swim so good.
Yeah, we're going to be we're just talking about things like what is better, what does it mean to make better choices, right?
And I appreciate you bringing that up because that is one thing that I do feel very strongly about as a dietitian. All the time I think people think you're only supposed to eat this certain way. And it's really important to just talk about that all foods fit. It's just a matter of fueling your body more with the foods that are more beneficial for your health, but balancing that with foods that you eat purely for pleasure and taste. So
and like listening to your body too, right? Because some people might have some foods that just don't work for them, or some people can eat certain less healthy foods and
it doesn't bother them.
It doesn't really bother them. And I know as I've gotten older, there's things that I just don't eat anymore just because I don't.
But he's not 30 yet.
But I'm not 30 yet. I'm 28, okay? And I don't know how to comb my hair either, apparently. My mom still tells me. Anyways, I'm sorry. My mom's in town, so I'm just listening to her like...
In the back of your mind.
How old are your shoes? Do you comb your hair?
You're gonna wear that shirt?
Yeah, that's how it is.
Huh. I can hear her say that.
Okay, so the next thing, like that's important, right? We're talking carbs, protein, and fats. So as far as like an athlete's plate, right? What should that look like? You talk to the athletes about 3 different things. You talk about like high intensity, low intensity, and just a normal, moderate. And a lot of the kids, our older kids, I think they understand that a little more. But I would say the general part of our team falls more just in the moderate area.
Okay.
So like what would a moderate plate look like for an athlete?
So to get to the moderate, I just want to explain to parents first, just a typical plate for any of us that I explain to the kids should be half fruits and vegetables and a quarter carbohydrates and a quarter protein, with some fat in there as well, probably 1 to 2 tablespoons on average. So something that I use to explain to the kids when you're going up in intensity, so to moderate intensity, you just go up on the carbs basically. Again, that's your fast fuel, and you can increase the protein a little bit as well. But it's pretty much more, maybe a third of your plate should be carbohydrates, and then maybe a quarter to a third protein.
Yeah, so like something in swimming is like, and I guess other endurance sports is like carbo loading. So we
like the 80s.
So like we shouldn't
Yeah.
eat 90% carbs the whole time.
Then fat was bad, which we could go into a whole thing on that.
Well, and like true carbo loading, like if you really read the studies about like endurance athletes and carbo loading, they would like do like tons and tons and tons of carbs, and then they would completely stop them and drop them off like a certain point before, and then they would like then load. Like that's where the load comes from, because after they would drop it, then they would add tons and tons of carbs right before the meet. So I think that's kind of where the tradition of like a team pasta dinner the night before came from. But what's the reality with the science we see now on carb loading?
I mean, there are still differing views on that for sure. I know, especially for runners, that's still
Kind of a
thing. Yes. But again, it's just carbs do provide that fast fuel.
Yeah.
But glycogen is also, glycogen stores over time is what's going to fuel you when you're doing the endurance sports.
How do you get glycogen?
So that's basically your carbohydrate and protein intake over time.
Okay.
So that takes
not
just
before.
immediate. Exactly. That's weeks.
Okay.
So that's why it's important over time to be making sure that you're fueling your body with the right foods and not just immediately before. If you've been eating junk all week and you eat the right thing right before the meet, while that's better than eating just junk before the meet as well, it's still not as beneficial as if you were eating the right things the entire week.
And
before.
Drastically changing your diet like that's probably going to give you some runs to the bathroom.
Right. It's not going to go over well. Yeah. Overall, it's just not going to be good. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and that's the same with a lot of things like sleep, with training. Like one great practice doesn't make your season.
It also doesn't break your season, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like so, same thing with food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
You told the kids like you're not saying you can't have ice cream, just maybe not with every meal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or the whole gallon in one night. I mean, I don't know. What is Mike doing? What do you mean? What is Mike doing? I don't know the delay.
Fixing his hair, Renee. He was fixing his
Why
hair.
did I disappear? Oh, I don't know. Don't.
He went over to the sink to get some water.
I had to say hi to somebody.
There's no one else here.
Okay, another topic you talked about with the kids that I thought was pretty cool was foods for injury and foods for recovery. So let's start with injury. Like if you are mending an injury, you did mention some options that can help.
Right.
Like we have 2 kids with broken bones right now. What should they be eating?
So for bones in particular, we do magnesium, vitamin D, and calcium. And those are most often found in dairy foods, obviously. Bone broth is actually a good thing as well to be consuming. You can sip it, you can make soup with it. That's really high in those nutrients as well. A supplement if you can't have dairy, which I told the kids about. Yogurt is always good because it's actually more easily tolerated, especially even if you have some lactose intolerance or find that you get a queasy stomach after drinking milk. And then it's high in probiotics as well, which is helpful. Anti-inflammatories just in general from food. So I talked about tart cherry juice, which I don't know if we're going to go into supplements or anything like that. But there is some research behind that it is beneficial. So that I would recommend, in addition to just anti-inflammatory foods, which we should be eating on a daily basis anyway. So that's like the good fats that I talked about in the talk. So that's found in fatty fish or olive oil or avocados or nut butters. Those all have anti-inflammatory properties. So
blueberry, sure.
Yes.
Blueberry, sure.
Yes, absolutely. And then just for healing in general, not specifically to broken bones. I don't know if I went into it in the talk at all, but it's on the kids' handouts about branched chain amino acid, leucine. So basically, in layman's terms, I should say, it's just making sure that you're getting good quality protein. So whey protein actually is high in that particular branched chain amino acid, and then animal proteins as well. So the meats,
Yeah.
So what is
like that?
So Jason's nutritionist had us switch his feeding tube stuff from almond milk to chickpea milk, and she said it was because of the amino acids in the chickpea milk. So what do amino acids do? Like, why is that important for kids and growing? And
so we all need all these different amino acids to make complete proteins for us to be able to just do the everyday functions that we do. And it can sometimes be difficult, especially if you're eating just a pretty monotonous diet or eating the same things all the time. If you eat meat, you're basically going to get complete proteins, right? But if you're getting your protein from other sources such as vegetables or grains or different isolates, then you need to make sure that you have the right combination to be getting what you need. In certain cases, and maybe in your son's case,
he's pretty much whole food, plant-based. Not intentionally because we don't like meat, but like that makes it a little harder to go through a feeding tube.
Exactly. So you have to get a little more creative. And then I could go into a whole tangent on this, but I think all of us have different needs in general. So there are some people that may need a particular amino acid more than somebody else, and in those cases, sometimes a supplement's needed, or
how do you figure that out?
Nutrigenomics, which that's a totally different talk.
Sorry,
yes.
We're going off the.
But yeah, it would be with blood tests, basically, and things like that. Yeah, very cool.
And then that's also why you say, so when the kids talk, she said taste the rainbow, but you talked about the different colors, like literally the different colors of fruits and vegetables and a good mixture of stuff.
To make sure you're getting all those different.
Because you have the complete setup, right? There's no one wonder food.
Right.
It's everything together that makes it work.
Yeah, and so what I told the kids basically is that the reason all of those fruits and vegetables are the colors that they are is because all of those colors are actually specific phytonutrients, which are essentially like a vitamin that is helpful for our body. So they're all rich in different phytonutrients that can be beneficial for different reasons.
So the same color foods have similar like carrots and sweet potatoes have green. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. Now they have different vitamins and minerals, right? But yeah, they'll be rich in something
similar.
Yes. And vitamin A is actually, and carotenoids are what make those, which are actual vitamins, but make them orange.
I love orange foods.
I love sweet
my son
potatoes.
is all he wants is carrots. Like, you need something else too.
So we talked about injury. So now, like recovery, like right after practice, what would be a good thing for our athletes to have within 30 minutes of a workout?
So again, those really beneficial, or those healthy carbohydrates, in combination with some protein to help rebuild the protein that's been used.
And again, the carbs, because it's fast. It's like you just got done depleting, and we want to restore.
Stores, and it's replenishing those glycogen stores that I talked about. Because if you don't actually, you start to burn muscle mass and fatty tissue, which we
kind of
refer to as ketosis.
Defeats the purpose of what they just spent 2 hours in the water doing.
Exactly. Yeah. So you want to be able to replenish those quick stores right away.
Yeah.
And then those protein stores as well.
Okay, so you're a mom, right? And your kids go to school all day, and then say they're in swim team, they come to practice. We're trying to avoid the processed stuff.
Right.
So what would you send for your kid to have right after practice?
Right after practice?
Right? That's something you could
like, put in their
that
bag,
is manageable for real life.
I was going to say, my kids are huge smoothie kids, and so that's usually what we do whenever, but that obviously, you could take it, I guess. But there are different, I know people have different opinions about bars, but there are a lot of bars out there that I feel like, I would look at the ingredients label and just look if they're real food. Not a bunch of chemicals that you can't pronounce. There are these things, I'm not promoting this brand at all, it's just, I just ate one, that's why I'm thinking about them. I want to say it's Bare Naked Brands, B-E-A-R.
Yeah, I've heard those. They have like no processed
it's just oats and peanuts and things like that.
I think it's B-A-R-E.
Oh, is it? Oh,
like Bare, like there's nothing extra.
Yeah, they
Kind
make
bars
these
are
bites.
actually pretty good too.
Those are
There's
fantastic.
a little bit of sugar, but like
sugar's
it's
not
like
bad.
from honey or from maple syrup or something.
Exactly, and something when I'm talking to people and they're like, well, it has so much sugar. If it's from fruit and things like that and honey, you know, it's still sugar, but it's coming from a more natural source.
Yeah.
I also tell them when you're looking at the nutrition label, if you look at total carbs and you look at fiber is a really big thing that can clue you in as to whether something's primarily sugar carbs or if it's those healthier carbohydrates.
So it needs to be higher in
So
fiber?
yes, the higher fiber, the better.
And
those pair
the
ones
more
are-
natural food, like the real food, will automatically just have more fiber in it.
Let's look in Coach Jenna's pantry. Hold on.
Look in Coach Jenna's pantry. Oh, you want to take the camera over there?
No,
Oh,
we're
okay.
gonna get some booze. And let's see if we can decipher if this would be a
It's
good
bare
option.
BAR naked. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Esme Willis, I don't know who that person is. She's not on the swim team. It's actually my aunt, guys.
Yes.
They're all
aunt to ask
at my house watching on the TV. But
Good
she asked a
job,
good
your
question. She said, "Are protein shakes healthy for you?" So that's pretty
That's a good question.
vague. But you talk about like whey protein, right? And
Right.
a lot of protein shakes, the thing they say on the front is
Whey.
100% whey.
Right. So I always say that I shouldn't say real food, but food is better to me than taking a supplement. And to me, a protein shake is a supplement.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it's not unhealthy to have one of those, especially if you don't think you or your child is getting enough protein, or you need something quick running out the door. In the morning especially, I get that all the time. I have a lot of people that tell me we just can't get breakfast. We've tried so many different things.
Yeah.
And so in those cases, I would say it would be fine. But I wouldn't use it as a substitute
Okay.
for.
Yeah. So some people, and they'll use a protein shake as a meal replacement a lot of times too. But if you can, food.
It's always better.
And also I think what we said earlier, like read the ingredients, right?
So we're doing
Here we go.
Cheez-Its out.
Cheez-Its
Yes.
versus Kind Bar.
Not all protein shakes are made equally, and you just have to look at the ingredients.
Exactly. Well, that's
and,
the thing. There's so many ones out
Yeah,
there that I'm
and-
sure are.
and with supplements, they don't have to be approved by the FDA or anything. So they can just, like I watched a documentary of this guy's like, hey, I'm gonna make a protein supplement today. And he got the stuff in the mail and the mixture was proper and it had the proper amount of creatine or protein, I forgot what he was making. And he stuck a label on it and he like legally could go sell that.
Yeah.
And like as long as it didn't like kill people, he could probably keep selling it.
It's scary.
Yeah, it is. So the supplement, like just in general, the supplement world, just do your research
Exactly.
and watch how you feel afterwards. So
Because they found traces of really bad things in some of those.
yeah,
And
it's-
a lot of USA swimming athletes or USA athletes and probably foreign athletes too have kind of accidentally gotten in a bind with USADA, the USA Anti-Doping Agency, because something was tainted or had like one of those not great things in it, and they had no idea because it's not regulated.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of our athletes don't have to deal with that, but when they go to college, they do have to deal with drug testing, and also if they're at the junior national level,
Yeah.
they have to deal with drug testing. And so, like, it may feel like, oh, it's not that big of a deal now, but if your athlete does have higher aspirations, then they need to know that it is their responsibility to know what they put in their body now, so that they're used to that process.
Yeah.
in
And
the
on
future.
like another note about like supplements for our athletes, like again, it's not the end of the world if you're taking supplements, but I could see it being a problem if your athlete starts relying on supplements. Like
Oh yeah.
the supplement is the reason why I'm getting better. Like that's
Or I can't have a good morning practice without my spark.
yeah.
That kind of thing.
So I would just keep a gauge on it. So Sylvia asked, how many grams of protein? That's my mom. How many grams of protein?
Sylvia.
How many grams of protein do you need a day?
So 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight
Okay.
is what you need.
Is it
So do
more or
that
less if you're?
calculation.
Is it more or less if you're working out, or is it just it's pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, if you're into bodybuilding, I would say maybe up to a gram.
If you're trying to make good gains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Not our swimmers.
um,
That equals slow swimming, everyone. Bulk,
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
Bulk.
bulk
Bulk
would
does.
be
well, there you go.
Negative
So
for your
aim for
speed.
0.8, and that should be. I honestly, most people get more than enough. I think there's been a push over the years. People think they need way more protein than they actually do.
Yeah.
So if you did that calculation and then looked at the foods that you're eating, I think you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
You're probably getting more than enough.
And again, we keep circling back to like that plate we talked about. Only a quarter of it is protein, right? The other half is fruits and vegetables, and the thing that increases is the carbs, just because the amount of aerobic work we're doing needs to be replenished.
And remember, I mean, vegetables have protein as well. People don't realize that. There's vegetable protein. So it's not that you're not getting protein from the other sources on your plate. It's all a combination. It's just when we're talking about protein specifically in that context, it's meats or nuts or something like that, tofu. Yeah.
Okay, we have some snack
Okay,
options.
so both of these are great to throw in a swimmer's bag at the beginning of the day. They can make it through school. No refrigeration necessary.
Yes.
Prepackaged. Mom doesn't have to cook anything. Dad doesn't have to make a lunch or make anything. So let's check out our ingredients here.
So for the Kind Bar, I can't see,
Courtesy of Coach Jenna's Pantry.
Thank you, Jenna. The ingredients is just almonds, cashews, chicory root fiber, honey, palm oil, sugar, glucose syrup, rice flour, unsweetened chocolate, cocoa powder, and then salt, natural flavor, and cocoa butter. So basically,
so not amazing, but not awful, right? They're all real things.
No, it's good. And if you look here, the total carb 17 grams and the fiber is 6. So that's awesome.
Is 6 high for fiber?
It is. It's good. Yeah. I mean, it's more than a quarter of what the carbohydrates. Yeah.
Okay.
Is this true? I heard this. I don't know if it's true. The order that the ingredients are listed is that the amount.
Yes.
So like if sugar is first, that's not a good sign.
Right.
Because that's the biggest ingredient is sugar.
It's mostly sugar.
And there's like 37 different names for sugar that you can see on a label that you don't even realize is sugar.
Mm.
Like maltodextrose and all sorts of different things that they're just kind of tricking you. Like, that's not really sugar. It doesn't say sugar. No, it's sugar.
Mm.
And again, sugar is not bad.
Yeah.
It's listed on here. It's listed. I mean, it's probably very little considering it's one of the. But yeah, glucose syrup. That's another name for sugar. Yeah. So that's a good choice. Just as an aside too, and I should have mentioned this to begin with, I mean, bars are not necessary. For my boys, we get those Justin's peanut butters or almond butters and crackers.
Oh, like it's like a little single serving of peanut butter or almond butter.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll have that after school.
They sell those at Starbucks, so if you forget to, you can run through the drive-thru and grab. They have that, and they have a little tub of avocado also.
Awesome. Yeah, the little guacamole singles. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you want your kids eating that in the car. My kids could not. That would be a disaster. But things like that, cheese sticks. I mean, it doesn't have to be, like I said, something that's
Prepackaged.
Yeah, but those are very easy. The Cheez-Its are, let's see, enriched flour, reduced iron, vitamin B, vegetable oil, white cheddar cheese. And that's basically it. Baking soda, yeast, natural and artificial flavor. So yeah, not awful, but nothing really nutritious in it. And the other thing to mention with things like this is there are vitamins being added to this simply because there are no naturally occurring vitamins in here. And the reason I point that out is because it's always better to get it naturally if you can.
Yeah.
Rather than them just adding vitamins to make it somewhat nutritious. And then the carbs here are 18 grams and the fiber is less than a gram. So not a great, not the best choice, but.
So the fiber is important because it helps your blood sugar from crashing, right?
It does. It helps your body utilize the carbohydrates at a slower rate, and it also helps with fullness and satiety. So one of the questions that we talked about before.
I think that goes into the next question. So we had some questions ahead of time, and like one of them was, how do I keep my swimmer full and full of the right things? And we've talked a lot about the right things, but like swimmers
They're
eat
always
a lot.
hungry.
Yeah, like when I was a swimmer,
Is it burning so many
I would eat breakfast, or I'd go to practice, eat breakfast, go to class, come back, eat like 2 corn dogs, go to my next class.
College
swimmer. Eat like
corn dogs or ramen?
A
Corn-
can of corn.
I mean, seriously. But yeah, how do we help our athletes stay full throughout the day?
And that I would say is fiber, protein and fat are the main things that are going to help keep you full. Fiber is a big one because a lot of your fuel needs to be coming from carbohydrates. So trying to make sure that those carbohydrates are high in fiber. And so that's the whole grains that we talked about. Beans are fantastic for many reasons. They're high in protein, high in good carbohydrates, high in fiber.
So that would also be like another reason to advocate for like an apple as opposed to apple juice, right?
Exactly.
Because the apple juice doesn't have the fiber, even if it's completely naturally juiced.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you use the fanciest juicer, it's
Yeah.
still being broken down.
Yeah.
But that is a good point. So fruits and vegetables are obviously another great source of fiber. And so trying to, incorporate them into your snacks and meals as much as possible. Fat helps you feel full. Of course, you're not going to want to throw that in right before meat. But those good fats that we talked about, trying to incorporate those into your meals as much as possible. Getting something, again, like peanut butter or nut butters that have a lot of protein, a little bit of fiber, and a lot of that good fat as well helps keep you full.
I know when Braden was like 12 or 13, Braden Vines, Leslie would do a smoothie before morning practice, and she would freeze Greek yogurt. He didn't really like Greek yogurt, but she would sneak it in because she knew it was really good for him. She would freeze it in ice cube trays and put like 2 ice cubes of Greek yogurts in his smoothies, and that was, it helped him a lot. And great performance at morning practice, and then he was fine for school.
That's great. I know I'm huge on smoothies, in particular with my kids, just because they're fast.
Yes.
There's a lot you can put in them that they wouldn't necessarily, eat.
You could
A
blend
handful
a lot
of spinach that they,
exactly.
but it's
On the
in
same
there
way.
and they love it. And
you still get the fiber.
Exactly. You can pack so many nutrients in there. It helps keep them full. And it's a great source of energy. It's easy for the body to break down, but still provides what they need. So that would be fantastic. Before meet or practice and afterwards too.
You can get a nutritious smoothie in the concession stand at COM, just FYI.
What?
Upstairs.
Oh, upstairs.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously? A nutritious smoothie? Because
Jamie Garrick makes them, but they've got like the triple blend berries. I think they use almond milk.
Great.
Yeah, and those are in the concession stand, because I know a lot of other concession stand foods are not like, after hearing this, you're probably like, I'm never feed my kid from the concession stand again. But there are healthy options up there, and she'll make you a smoothie.
Yeah, and there are some not great smoothies. I'm not trying to bash.
Certain brand.
No,
Yes. I'm gonna say
not even
something.
Smoothie King.
Smoothie King's getting better. They've
it's the
taken
other
out all
one.
the.
Sherbet.
There are so
you can
many.
still add ice cream into your
Yeah,
smoothie.
it's like
Smoothie King.
they all have. It's like spinach, mango, sherbet. I was like,
Soft serve.
Soft serve.
There are a lot of
Yeah.
smoothies that are made at certain places that don't have even any fruit in them. So
Yeah.
you just have to be careful with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and again, I think that comes down to paying attention and reading the ingredients,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I know we keep saying this, but if you want a sweet snack, like get one of those smoothies too. We're not saying like never eat that, but we are today we're talking about what are the better choices, right? That's what we're talking about. A smoothie. Let's all say our favorite smoothie recipe, because I love smoothies too. My favorite midday smoothie is like 2 handfuls of spinach, and I blend it in water first, so it blends easier. It doesn't leave chunkies, and then just mango chunks, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah, it's delicious.
We got that from the Smoothie King. They have a mango kale smoothie
I know.
that's
I do
delicious.
love that one.
That's where you got
Yeah,
it,
that's
right?
it's a good little midday boost for me.
Yeah.
I love that.
I like kefir in my smoothies. It's a little tart, but I like it. Like a banana, half a cup of blueberries, half a cup of kefir, some almond milk, almond butter, and cinnamon. I like cinnamon.
I haven't tried that either. That sounds delicious. Our favorite smoothie recipe, my boys drink this all the time. We use Greek yogurt. We use a little bit of orange juice as well, which I realize is high in sugar, but there's not that much in it, and it provides liquid and vitamin C. And then we do the triple berry mix, and we also do some spinach in there, and sometimes we'll put avocado. My younger one needs a lot of calories, and so it's packed with calories, so you don't need to add avocado, but and they love it.
So Jason, my son, was actually like his life was sustained on smoothies for like 2 years. Like before he got his speaking tube, that's all he could drink. And his was pretty similar to what he has now. It's like for a whole day, it's like 3 cups of kale, half of an avocado, 2 cups of milk. So right now we're doing the chickpea milk. Half a cup of kefir, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp hearts.
So incredibly healthy.
Yeah, I know. He's like the healthiest person I
should
know.
all be drinking
And Greek yogurt, dates,
awesome.
and a banana.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And that is a super smoothie, folks.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like everything you could possibly need.
For a kid who can't swallow or chew, he's in like the 65th percentile
Right.
on weight. So I think that just goes to prove that like whole foods and
Right.
like real foods, like stuff that's not processed,
Yeah.
really
Fuel
can
you.
fuel
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
Even when your body doesn't function correctly, you know, like it's
Exactly.
still.
Jesse Bynum asked, "What's the triple berry mix?" They're talking about in the frozen section, frozen fruits at HEB. There's just it's like, is that the organic one, the triple berry?
You can
Well,
get it.
Costco
There's-
and Sam's has a version as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, it's usually raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries or strawberries.
Strawberries.
But it's just a berry mix. Comes in a bag.
Berries
Yeah.
are really high in antioxidants, so that's why we go for the berries personally over like pineapple or mango or something.
Yeah,
Plus
And-
they blend for these.
yeah,
They have a lot of water content.
yeah. You know what I love about my smoothie?
What?
The spinach and mango. 1, it's simple. 2, it's green.
Yes.
So it makes me feel better
Mm.
about it, like aesthetically. Like,
Right.
I have a green smoothie.
So you walk around with your green smoothie
Yeah,
feeling very
always in a see-through
nice.
cup. Always. Okay, all right. Next question. So we have a swimmer, and I'm sure there's other athletes on the team too that have nut allergies. So we have a swimmer that has a nut, avocado, and banana allergy. So, and we talked about all 3 of those being
Right.
healthy
Sources,
choices.
yeah.
So what are some alternatives? Because nuts, you get the protein and the
Protein.
fats. The avocados, you get the fats, and bananas, you get the carbs, and the sugar is the carbs, but
Right.
Potassium.
the fiber.
I mean, it's just focusing, I guess, on foods that are high in the things that, so the good fats that you'd be getting from the avocado, you can get that from other things that I mentioned. Olive oil primarily, the fatty fish are probably going to be your main sources for that.
So olive oil, like, can you give us an example of how a parent could get their kids some olive oil?
You can cook with olive oil when you're making, if they eat salads, or if they like to dip. My son loves to dip everything. And so we'll do a little olive oil and vinegar and some seasonings, maybe some Parmesan cheese in there, basically Italian dressing.
As a dip.
So pretty much
As a dip.
everyone is like used to cooking with vegetable oil or corn oil, right?
Okay.
So you're just saying replace that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so what you would cook with vegetable oil, I mean, I even make our muffins I make with olive oil.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
Breads, things like
yeah,
that.
anything you use
realize.
vegetable oil for, just replace it with, what's another option? You could use, what are some other oils besides olive oil? I would say avocado oil, but that was an allergy.
The oils should have
Coconut
the protein,
oil.
so avocado oil should be okay. But yeah, coconut oil is fine. That's higher in saturated fat, but coconut oil is like a whole different ballgame because it's a medium chain triglyceride. So it's still healthy for you.
And that one's good for cooking at high heat
Exactly.
because it doesn't like break down. So if you're gonna like saute or fry something,
or
use
olive
coconut
oil will smoke. Right?
It basically like the components, the chemical components of it break down.
Oh, okay.
And it's just not as healthy for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if there's other flaxseed oil.
That's what I was trying to think of.
What's the other thing? I should say, I didn't mention this with the injury, but I wanted to mention is trying to avoid pro-inflammatory fats, like saturated fat, which is the really fatty, the fat on meats, and then trans fats. So vegetable oils like sunflower, corn, soybean, cottonseed, peanut are actually high in those types of fats. So just basically anything but those is going to be good. Yeah, is going to be good.
Nice.
And those will, like, if you make that change cooking for your family, not just for your athlete, like everyone will get the benefit of the lower, of less inflammation.
We all
Yeah.
should be eating this way, basically. Yeah. But I like to cook with butter sometimes, and that's fine.
I cook with butter all the time. But it's like you have to
Especially with
look.
high fats too, because it's a stable fat.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, and again, it comes down to
And that's
reading
not bad.
the ingredients. Like
Right.
we're not cooking with. I can't believe it's not butter because you wouldn't recognize any ingredient on that list.
Exactly.
But like I use Kerrygold. It's
It's a real
grass
food to me.
food,
Yeah.
grass fed butter from.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to know? So I didn't realize, like country crock is like, so it's like
Not real
vegetable
butter.
oil, right?
Yeah, basically.
I think I was 23 or
Much
24.
When you
younger.
realize
Much
this?
younger.
Well, so I was out of college, and
Yesterday.
me and my roommate, we had our place, and my mom was coming to Midland for Thanksgiving. She was coming to hang out with us.
Nice.
And I'm like, we're gonna make Thanksgiving, it's gonna be good. And I'm cooking, and she's like, why are you using vegetable oil for everything? And I was like, no, it's butter, it's gonna be great. She's like, that's not butter. And I was like, what? And I just never looked. I've just been like, bread and everything. I mean, I just grew up, eating that with everything.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jesse Bynum asked thoughts on ghee.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. Yeah.
What is
It's
ghee?
basically clarified butter.
Clarified butter.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's kind of separating the fat and the protein. Believe it or not, there's some
There's
protein in that butter.
And there's some flavored ghees that are like really delicious.
Mhm. Yeah.
I've never had it.
It's delicious.
It's a little expensive. So
It
when
is.
we buy it, it's like a special
It's-
treat. But
Is it hard to make yourself?
I've never made it, but I can't imagine it would be. Because
Because
you're just draining off the.
Do you like
Yeah.
filtering it? Basically?
Yeah.
Filtering
what
butter?
comes to the top is the ghee.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's clarified. It gets all those solids out. So all the solids sink to the bottom. So I would think
Oh
you could
yeah.
just.
Like when you stick your butter.
But I've never made it, so don't quote me on that. But I'm thinking that's how it would be made.
I'm
I
sure you
don't
can find
know.
something on Pinterest or YouTube.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, last question that we have. I mean, that was submitted before. How do I get my swimmer to eat on meet mornings, and what should we be encouraging them to eat? I think the how part is, that comes down to nerves, right? But so if I was talking to the athlete about they're having trouble eating before meet, I think you need to think about what you're going to get out of it. So I wish I looked at food like this when I was an athlete. When I look at what I'm eating, I usually think about what it's going to do for me. Like, okay, I'm going to be at work for the next 10 hours. Is eating all this ice cream at lunchtime, in a couple hours, I'm not going to feel good, So,
Right.
so I would talk to the athlete about, okay, your job at swimming is you want to be at your best. To be at your best, you need to put the best stuff in your body. Even if you feel a little nervous, I would try to eat what you can because it would be good for you.
I think you also need to have practice practice eating when you're nervous. So like
Exactly.
or eating in the morning. Like if you never eat breakfast and then meet morning and you're like, no, you eat
All of a sudden
breakfast.
this morning, yeah.
I mean, their body's not used to it, so I would say like also make sure you're practicing
Yeah.
that.
And again, going back to smoothies, but just things that would be easier to stomach with those nerves would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And starting with that, and then to encourage it moving forward, talking to your kid afterwards about how did you feel after you had that smoothie, or how did you feel after you had that breakfast before the meet. It gets them to kind of self-reflect on, I did do a lot better, or I did feel a lot better, or I did have more energy, which then encourages them to continue that moving forward. So that's always.
And then in the same vein, we have kids, especially our older kids, they're at meets. If you have early warm-up, you're at the pool for 5 to 7 hours. So what would be good to eat
Like what
in
interval?
between?
Yeah, and at what interval?
Those snacks. So, you do not want to go that long without eating anything. You're not going to have any energy towards the end of that, and you're definitely going to be breaking down muscle mass. So things, again, that are easy to digest, that are high in those healthy carbohydrates. Fig gluten bars, again, those peanut butter crackers or peanut butter pretzels are even fine. Smoothies, those drinks, not energy drinks, definitely not energy drinks, but like Gatorades, Powerades, things like that I talk to the kids about because you want to replace those electrolytes as well. Fruits are great because they're high in all of those things.
I love fruits. When I was a swimmer, I loved fruits because they were lighter. It didn't feel heavy in my stomach.
They're
And
easy
I
to
had
digest.
issue with nerves and eating, and like fruits. Fruits was my go-to.
Right.
What about how often? Like, how often should they be eating?
Well, usually if you're working out less than an hour to an hour and a half, I would say you don't really need to load up afterwards. But after that, I would say, gosh, probably every 45 minutes to an hour.
That's awesome.
Did
you hear that, Addie?
Having something. And I'm not talking about anything huge, just something small and quick. But that will allow.
Like half of a kind bar.
Exactly. And they even make mini ones of those, just as an aside. So yeah, that would be what I'd recommend. Definitely no longer
That's
than
a
an hour.
shorter time than I would have thought. I would have thought like every 2 hours, but
And
that's great.
so when you're talking about things that replenish quickly. So I'm not saying it'd be bad, but like those protein bars that are like 20 grams of protein in the middle of a meat. After a meat would be better, if that, right?
Again, I would do things that
'Cause
aren't
you're not gonna
as
get
high. No,
It's not gonna
Help you at all.
It's not gonna help you in time. When you have a race in 45 minutes.
and that will probably upset your stomach, to be honest. And I should just say, as an aside, you said I thought it would be more like 2 hours. Everybody's body's different.
Yeah.
And so I would say don't go any longer than 2 hours having a snack, but see what works for you. Some kids, 2 hours is fine, and they're gonna have that energy. And if they eat any sooner than that, it may give them an upset stomach.
Okay.
So I can't say that enough. Listen to your body, but try to aim for every 1 to 2 hours, and try to aim for something that's not high in fat and definitely not too high in protein, because that slows digestion. Those things are going to stay in your stomach. So even though they may be high in carbohydrates, if there's a lot of fat or protein paired with that, it's going to sit in your stomach for a while, and you don't want that while you're swimming.
So this is where we talked about the carb fiber balance would be really good middle of meat.
Right.
And then again those electrolytes and some sugars and stuff. I mean,
Absolutely.
this is good inside. And the same like within a workout setting.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So do you have any better suggestions than Gatorade? So Gatorade does have more like a natural ingredients, and I guess it has a little
There's
more
sugar in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's sugar in Gatorade. There's electrolyte stick mixes that you can mix into water.
Smart Water also has electrolytes.
Like the Nun tablets.
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah, it's like a
heard of those,
mix-in
but-
sports drink. I mean, it's
Okay.
like a sports mix-in, but yeah.
And those are fine. Sugar's not bad in this situation, especially. So
Because you're
it's-
using it, right?
Exactly. You're
It's a-
replenishing, and it's basically what your body's going to use immediately, anyways. So I wouldn't be too turned off by the fact that Gatorade has sugar. It's something that you're needing at that point.
And if your kid can handle that, like again, back to me, I had to mix Gatorade with water
Yeah.
Right.
because it was just too much for
It's
me.
very sweet.
But I see some kids, no problem.
And there's food coloring and stuff in it, so I get that. And I would probably aim more for the sticks. Something that I get a lot of questions about too are like the G2, which
It's
is
lighter,
sugar
right?
substitute. And there are differing opinions on that as well. I personally would just go for the regular sugar or water it down or make your own electrolyte mix.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that even can't tolerate, my son in particular can't tolerate those sugar substitutes. And I'm not completely convinced they're 100% safe. So
Yeah.
there's not enough research either way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just aim for either watering down your Gatorade if that's a concern of yours, or making your own.
Yeah. And Jessie Bynum said it's the dyes that bother her. So
And I
Yeah.
for sure,
yeah, that makes sense.
Smart Water has electrolytes.
a lot of them do now.
Yeah.
Is Essentia another one that has?
I think it's like one of those pH balanced ones. I don't know if
Okay.
it has electrolytes. It might.
I do feel like I've seen them in a lot more.
It's
just
like
regular
$5
waters.
a bottle, so
Right.
it does. Electrolytes.
We once bought an Essentia bottle. So HEB used to sell the 50 ouncer for $1.50.
Okay.
Now it's like $2 or $2.50, and I'm like, no
Because
way.
dentists started recommending them or something.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
they're more.
It's supposed to be good for your teeth or something.
But we bought one at a gas station once because we like Essentia, and it was literally like $6 for
The
20
most
ounce.
expensive
Yeah,
water
it was
I've
like-
ever had. I'm just gonna say
It was one of those situations where you walk up to the register and you're like, and you just buy it because you're like already there. You just don't have the guts to say no.
Unless also at the movie theaters, a bottle of Dasani is like
Oh,
$4.
gosh.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Or the airport. Don't even get me started.
Amanda Kerrigan asked meat day lunch ideas.
Okay, so I gave the kids a handout about that, but again, probably like a sandwich with fruit is really easy because it's going to have that protein either with meat or with nut butters, and the fiber and a little bit of fat in there as well. A smoothie with like a turkey wrap. I'm really big into bowls lately. I don't know if I mean by like grain bowls. So if you're feeling adventurous, and I know Panera has a lot of those too. I know a lot of people have those, but like having quinoa or bulgur or farro or something like that, and mixing in some fruits and vegetables, maybe some meat, beans and rice. All of these things are a combination of all of those.
I'm noticing how I'm noticing how you're like, it's like the sandwich and the fruits, like you're still keeping that balance. It's not like just eat protein at lunchtime, right? It's like you need the whole.
All of them work together.
Yeah.
This is the longest half moon news.
Yeah, we've been going for almost an hour, by the way.
You're awesome.
I didn't say it's me, but
No, yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
All Dana.
So Jesse Bynum on the Smart Water and the cost, I think it's pretty similar to a Gatorade, but
It's
also,
more expensive than regular water, which is frustrating.
if you find an awesome substitute that your kid likes, can you share it? Right? I mean, that's a great question because some parents don't like to buy Gatorade for their kids, and
absolutely. And I can't, like my son can't have food dyes, and it's something I try to limit anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I should know more about this, but I'm sure there have to be some Gatorade-like drinks out there that don't have the food dyes.
Mm-hmm.
I just personally am not aware of them, and I apologize for that. But if you know of any, then please share because.
Yeah. Or you can just drink water and supplement. Like there's ways to supplement the electrolytes and sugar and stuff with
that's essentially
some
what it
food.
is. Yeah.
Right? Like there's the fruits come into play and the other stuff.
Right.
So.
A lot of it's sodium and potassium, honestly. So that's salt.
Bananas.
And bananas. There you go.
And if you have the
and
avocado, put salt on
and watermelon. Watermelon's a great.
Really?
I
thought watermelon is like nothing.
No, it does. It has a lot.
What is it?
That is like.
I heard it's like 95% water.
There's a lot of vitamin C. It's very high in water, but that's also replenishing.
That's not bad,
It's hydrating. Yes.
Also, if somebody had that banana allergy earlier, prunes, right? Prunes.
Absolutely.
Are
Yes.
good.
Very high.
Substitute for bananas. Every time we say bananas, prunes.
What do dates have in them? Dates are like sweet, right? I don't know anything about dates, but I hear they're good things.
They're a great sugar substitute because they're super sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know the nutritional value.
Yeah.
Magnesium, zinc. I think they were on my list too of anti-inflammatory that I gave to the kids. Yeah.
If your kid didn't make it home with these handouts, just message us and we will get you a copy of them.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other questions? There's a little delay, so even when I say this, it's like
You gotta wait
it's like 10 seconds.
And I keep
Jesse
looking
says
at that.
Amazon has organic Gatorade sans dyes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
That is good to know.
Okay, well, I think we probably need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for all the questions. We appreciate you, Dana. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. We really, really appreciate it. I learned a lot
Help.
in this talk, actually. So.
Sure. And we'll see everybody for warm-ups tonight. Dolphin 1, you still have regular practice, and Coach Sarah's Developmental 2 group, you still have practice. Might be a little crazy, but don't run away. So, okay, thanks guys.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Ooh, Jesse sent us a link.
Awesome.
USDA certified.
Watch
Okay.
out.
We will